Hi, this is Bob Barmore coming to you from beautiful Pinehurst, North Carolina. Today I want to talk about just a lot of general background information, demographic information, geographic information about Pinehurst. You might subtitle this, Everything You Always Want to Know About Pinehurst But We're Afraid to Ask. Let's start off with just some of the basics. It's a small town. Population roughly 15,200 and change. You're going to find Southern Pines is similar size as well, and these two cities kind of blend together. Sometimes you're not sure which one you're actually in. The other thing you're going to see about Pinehurst is the average population is fairly old. It had been 60 years, it's now moved down to 57 and some change. Some 12 years older than the average population in North Carolina. But at the same time, you're going to find that we're also wealthier, with an average household income of over $68,000, which is $23,000 greater than the average in North Carolina. I've often described Pinehurst as an oasis of affluence in the middle of nowhere. And the more time you spend here, the more you learn to appreciate that. Housing values are quite good. They're about double that in North Carolina in general, but still the average price home in Pinehurst still is less than $300,000. This slide talks about education to some extent and marital status. You're going to find that we are overeducated. Few people get to Pinehurst by being mediocre. Almost all of the residents here have excelled in some part of their life and certainly are high achievers. One of my favorite is General George Marshall, who authored the Marshall Plan after World War II. He was one of our residents after he retired from the military. And he absolutely loved Pinehurst. He could walk the streets of Pinehurst and simply be George, not General Marshall. And he loved it until the day he died. In terms of marital status, my reading of the stats is about 30% of the people here are unmarried in some way, shape, or form. 70% are married. This slide confuses me a bit. I'm not sure I agree with all of it, but certainly Fayetteville is probably the largest city close by. It does have an airport for commercial service. It also has a very large military base. It mentions Raleigh. I would put Raleigh and Greensboro both in kind of the same location. They're both about the same distance from here, about the same size, and they both offer similar services as well as airports. Why they talk about Philadelphia is beyond me. You're going to find Atlanta is only 350 miles from Pinehurst. Charlotte, North Carolina, a pleasant 2-hour drive. Charleston, South Carolina, if you want to go someplace really cool, a pleasant 200 miles down the road. You want to go to the beach, Wilmington is about 120 miles to the east. And if you want to go to the mountains, you can be in Asheville in 220 miles. This is talking about employment and industries in Pinehurst. What you're really going to find here is that tourism and healthcare are the 1 and 2 employees or people here in the area. And I really think it's healthcare is number 1, tourism with the hotels, all of the golf and resort activities, and then the service industry, certainly everything related to a retirement resort community comes in 3rd. Really not much manufacturing or traditional factory work. This is something we're all quite proud of. And there's a lot of information here, but suffice it to say that the village of Pinehurst was named the safest city in North Carolina. These crime stats, you can look at them, you're going to see a lot of zeros. We're quite proud of the fact that we are the safest city in North Carolina. Part of that is because we have a small town and we have people that care about each other. We do have 4 seasons in Pinehurst. It does get down below freezing when the leaves change. We certainly have a hot summer and we have a mild winter. I know many ladies complain it never really gets cold enough to wear their furs, but we do see a little bit of snow from time to time. We do live in the Sand Hills, which is a bit of a microclimate, so that even though it may be extremely warm during the day, once the sun goes down, it cools off quite nicely. It can be quite pleasant in the summer evenings. Rain, precipitation, it's not a big deal. There was a time when we had some issues relating to water. I think the town council and the county have taken steps to rectify those issues, and the recent rainfall, we have certainly no shortage of water. So that is not a problem. Snowfall, for all of our friends from up north, as you'll note, we might get 3 inches of snow in a winter. And if we do all at one time, it'll certainly paralyze the place because we have no equipment. But it will get cold, but it doesn't snow, and it's seldom an issue in any way, shape, or form. Speaking about utilities, there is very little natural gas in the area. So almost every home is going to be heated by a heat pump using electricity. That's fine until it does get extremely cold. If you're aware of how heat pumps work, below 34 degrees they become very inefficient. I know some homes have a heat pump backed up by a gas furnace that kicks on at a certain point in the temperature gauge, just simply to offset the inefficiency of the heat pump. Or, as I do sometimes, I'll kick on my propane gas logs just to take the chill out of the room. Commute time to work? Well, this is almost a misnomer. So few people actually work in Pinehurst. So many of us are retired. Those that do work, a lot of them are commuting over to Fort Bragg. But I think this will tell you that commute times are minuscule. You can get from one end of the county to the other in about 12 to 15 minutes. So it's really a matter of where you're trying to get to. And like I said, I think these times, if anything, are related to travel times to Fort Bragg for our military friends. Just to share with you the political backdrop, these are presidential elections over several years. You'll see that the Pinehurst area tends to be very Republican, quite conservative, both in local and national affairs. And then the religious breakdown, I find this a little interesting. A lot of people would consider us in the Bible Belt, but we're actually below the national average in terms of people affiliated with religious congregations. But we do have virtually all religions represented here in the area. Certainly the Presbyterians, the Baptists, the Methodists, the Catholics, and others. I mean, the others takes up a full 20%. So we're all here together enjoying the good life in Pinehurst. Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you in the village. Bye.